Over time, most companies will find on their open receivables list a number of uncollectible accounts, short pays, and adjustments that need to be made. In this tutorial, we'll show you 3 methods for cleaning up these open receivables. These methods are the AR receipts method, which is best used when you need to write off a portion of an invoice as you're posting a customer's receipt. The AR adjustment method for invoices that you've determined will never be paid, and the write-off batch method to clean up your open receivables in a batch of transactions subject to criteria that you set. So now let's jump in and get started. For the first method, let's suppose that after some period of time working through a collections effort, you and a customer agree to a lesser payment than the original invoiced amount. In this example, the write-off/adjustment will be made at the time the receipt is being posted. To perform an adjustment or write-off in a receipt batch, we need to ensure that the system switch that allows this is turned on. To check this, we'll go to Accounts Receivable, AR Setup, Options, and here we'll open the Transactions tab. In the Receipt Options section, you'll find a checkbox for allowing adjustments in receipt batches, and for our example, this needs to be checked. And we'll save and close the window. Now let's enter the receipt for the customer in our example. To do this, we'll go to AR Transactions, Receipt Entry. For this scenario, our customer, the Yoshida Gardens, is disputing an $859.24 invoice. They believe that we should deduct $200 from their invoice based on some issues with the product they purchased. We've agreed to this, and accordingly, they've sent us a check for the reduced amount. So now we'll go ahead and make the adjustment while entering the receipt. We'll start by clicking the new batch icon and enter a short description, adjustment, write-off. Dropping down to customer number, we'll open the Finder and search by customer name contains, and select our example customer, the Yoshida Gardens. And for the check number, we'll enter 990012. For the receipt amount, we'll enter $659.24 and then hit the Go button. In the document grid, you can see the invoice for $859.24. Let's apply the receipt amount to this invoice by clicking in the Apply column. Now the $659.24 appears as the applied amount. Note that you may need to add a line here to recover taxes. Because we enabled adjustments during receipt batches earlier, we have access to the Adjust button. Clicking it opens a miscellaneous adjustment entry window. Let's enter a description, disputed invoice, and dropping down to the GL Accounts field in the grid, we'll use the Finder and search by Description Starts With and select the Bad Debts account. And tabbing over to Debit, here we'll enter the $200 that we're adjusting. Now we'll close the window, click Add on Receipt Entry, then close the screen. To post the batch, we'll go to the Receipt Batch list, and there's our batch at the bottom, and we'll click Post and Yes. And the posting process runs. And we'll close the message and the batch list. Now let's move on to our second method, writing off an entire invoice when there's no chance it will ever be paid. For this example, let's suppose that our customer, Sunshine Systems, has filed for bankruptcy and we're certain we won't be receiving payment. We'll perform this write-off using Adjustment Entry. Here we'll start a new batch, and for a description, let's enter Sunshine Systems Write-Off. Using the Finder, we'll look up and select Sunshine Systems. Moving to document number, we'll select the invoice which was for $1,104.15. Moving down to the grid, we'll once again select the bad debt expense account. And as well, you can break out taxes here or apply the full amount to bad debt as we're doing for this example. Since this is a bad debt, we'll enter the full amount of the invoice, which is $1104.15, as a debit. Now we'll click Add and then Close. To post the batch, we'll open the Adjustment Batch list, hit Post, then Yes, and now we'll close the message and the window. The final write-off method is a process you might perform periodically as it is designed to remove bad debts in mass. All transactions that meet a given criteria are selected for the write-off. This method is valuable for cleaning up a receivables list that has many small underpays or is subject to numerous write-offs. To use this method, we need to ensure that we have the GL write-off account properly set up. To verify this, we'll go to AR Setup, Account Sets. Here we'll run through our account sets using the Next button, and as you can see, write-offs are correctly set to our bad debts account for each one. And now we'll go to AR Periodic Processing, Create Write-Off Batch. Here you set the criteria for the transactions that will be written off. For our example, we'll write off anything that's over 90 days outstanding. We want all transactions, and we want to select by an amount up to $100. Finally, we only wanted to consider customers from $1,500 and higher. Now we'll hit Process, and from the message, you can see that 2 adjustments were made. Let's close the message and the window. Now we'll review the resulting write-off batch by going to AR Transactions, Adjustment Batch List, and there's the new write-off batch, and we'll double-click to open it. Now we can add, change, or delete these transactions. If we want to make an adjustment for taxes, we can do that here as well. And you can look at all of the individual write-offs by advancing through the entries. And again, if you decide you don't want to write off one of the entries, just go ahead and delete it from the batch. Now we're ready to post, so we'll close the entry screen and click Post, and yes, and that completes our tutorial. So to recap, we've covered 3 methods for writing off AR transactions that have been deemed uncollectible. The one you use will be based on the circumstances of the write-off or adjustment. Give us a call if you need assistance with this or any other feature in your Sage Accpac system. Well, that's it for this tutorial. Bye for now.